Thank you for being here at the Peace and Knowledge Spiritist Center. We will have an opening reading, an opening prayer. Then we're going to learn how to deal with difficult people. That's the topic tonight that Sabrina is going to share with us. We will have passes tonight as well, and it looks like the cafe is open, so we'll have food at the end of the night if you'd like. Let's see. All right. The message for tonight is go for a walk outdoors. Calmly rediscover nature, which has blessed your life. Unwind and exit the surrounding turmoil by letting your imagination soar. Avoid crowded places and breathe the fresh air of the woods, the mountains, the sea. Revisit concepts, relax, and bless life in whatever form it takes you. Your present existence is plentiful with what you need to be happy. Beautiful and a great reminder. We spend so much time in our cars and on the concrete, right? We forget to take our shoes off and walk in the grass. So let's try to do more of that. And it'll probably help us deal with difficult people too, right? If we do more of that? All right. Well, join me with a prayer and we'll get started. Father, we thank you once again for this house being prepared for our arrival, creating that energy that we feel as we walk through the threshold, stepping away from the rigors of material life and into this wonderful house of uplifting energy, reconnecting us to the real life, the spirit life, the evolution of the soul that occurs as we incarnate. So first and foremost, Father, we thank you for this place and its mentors. We thank you for Christ and his example, and mostly for the gift of free will that you gave us, the responsibility of free will. We pray tonight that the speaker not only touches our ears and our brain, but touches our soul, encourages us and uplifts us, and sends us away with the ability to raise our force field for the coming week and do our best to follow that example of Christ better this week than we did last week. Amen. So I'd like to invite Sabrina to this podium, and thank you, Sabrina, for your talk tonight.
Good evening. Happy to be here today. It's been a long time. For me, welcome for those who I never met. Most of you I did. We have some spirits too that I've probably never met, which is great. Lots of spirits. Lots of them. There was a time years ago that we had an assistance. It was Saturday morning at 9 a.m. So as you can imagine, very few people would show up. And one day I was just talking by myself, and there was a lot of spirits there, of course. And somebody just came and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm talking to the audience." And because the work doesn't stop, right? Because we are not here. We have in the background, we have people being assisted all the time, 24/7, and we have to be ready for it. So, talking about help. My intention today is not give you any magical formula how we're going to deal with the difficult people in our lives, because I don't have that formula. And the main reason why I chose this topic is because I consider myself as a difficult person. And that helped me tremendously, because it's not something that we are going to conquer in 24 hours in one life. And today we might find very good surprises about this topic, about ourselves. So just a little bit of disclaimer, I'm not a mental health professional. That's not my intention to bring any medical advice, any psychological advice, neither Google information where we all can look for it, right? How to deal with difficult people. We have stuff to read for 10 lives, right? But that's not the point. The point tonight is to bring some information and some tools, some strategies that Spiritism can help us on our daily basis how to deal with certain types of behaviors, and including with ourselves. So when we talk about difficult people, what do you consider a difficult person? Can anybody give me an example? Don't point my friend, because she's not. She's one of the easiest one that I know, a blessing. It's not who it is, what it is a difficult person. Anybody can give me an idea for you? No, not the person, like the trait, like, you know. Argumentative. Who else? Negative, okay. Closed-minded, I like that. Nobody deals. See, nobody else has any?
Talks more than they listen.
They know it all, right? Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see what's that about. So there's always that person or those people. It feels like they are in our lives to be an obstacle, to mess up with our days, to mess up with our moods, right? In reality, sometimes it's easier to keep at a distance. So if you're at work, your boss is there, yeah, but you have the weekend and you can get out of the office, but at home, things get a little bit more difficult. And sometimes these people are in our home. Not all the time we are able to maneuver our relationship in a healthy way, and that's why we're here today. Not to give a psychological advice, but as far as our moral, our conduct, our characters, what we can do to improve, even if the initiative comes from us. Because what we expect is the initiative comes from the other person. And what we're going to see today is that how we can make this better without expecting that difficult person to change. So let's start with what Spiritism can do for us in terms of this topic, to help us to develop the fraternal understanding on these situations, to also help us to grow, to enlighten our spirits. As dealing with this type of people, this type of difficult behaviors, we enlighten ourselves. We develop virtues. We can become better. In fact, when we're going to see here, Jonah Gentry is going to tell us that these people are masters in our life because they are trying to, even if they don't know, because they are being a pain, right? They are trying without even knowing and making us become better, feel better, and become a better spirit, a better person. Because it's only through the trials that we can grow with something. Because if we are surrounded by nice people that do what we want, because nice for us is what? That person that do what I want, say what I want, right? We don't grow. That's what it is. We would continue to be stuck. So let's see a few examples and how this compassion, this fraternal understanding can be developed. It's slowly yet, but let's see what we can do about it, right? What Spiritism can help us with. Let's see if this is going to work. Okay. Starting with a few examples of difficult people. I know I could just go spend my whole life here telling you several of them, but I just picked a few so we can just have an idea. The battle tank, that's pretty common. Hopefully not pretty common. Some places are aggressive, rude. That person that would do everything in its power to get what they want. The means doesn't justify the outcome. They are going to do it no matter what. Whoever is in front of them, don't really care. I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to do what I want no matter who's in front of me, right? Which is a very hard personality to deal with. The sniper, this is a passive aggression because it's that person that it's not going to tell you right on your face that he or she is upset, that you made a mistake, that they are this or that. No, they are going to be silent, but you're going to wait for the first opportunity that you make a mistake, that you show some fragility that you may carry in myself, to point it out, to do a gossip. So it's very like a spy. That person is waiting for us to fall so they can come with a comment, or, what they call like sort of a silent revenge. That person never gonna go, hey, you know what, Sabrina? You did this to me. You made me mad. I'm upset. I don't want to look at your face anymore. No. It's gonna pretend that everything is great. But in your back, you guys all know what happens, right? So that's one type of a very difficult person that we have to relate. The grenade, explosive. Sometimes for very little things. You know that person that one drop, it's the end of the world, is a whole ocean. It's very hard to relate with this person because it's always the end of the world, right? The tantrums is very disproportionate compared to the circumstances, right? So we don't even want to talk to that person. Remember in the old days, right? Education old days was like that. You're going to see when your dad comes home, right? Nowadays, the kid will look at you and say, oh, whatever, what's going to happen when he comes home? For us, we're like, oh my gosh, let's wait for dad. Because dad would be bringing the grenade. It would be the whole, nowadays, it changed a little bit, but we still deal with this type of people. They are out there. It's very difficult as well. And the yes people. You guys know what the yes people is? No? That person that just say yes, agrees with everything, promises everything, is going to do everything, want to please everybody, and at the end of the day, don't do anything. It's hard. It's hard. Friendship is hard with a person like that. Co-workers are hard because you're counting, right? No, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to do it. And at the end of the day, nothing gets done. It's a bunch of excuses, and it's always somebody else's fault. Right? That happens too. And in the contrary, we have the no person, which is the negative. Everything is no. You say, I'm thinking about taking that course or getting that job. Oh, if I were you, I wouldn't do that because I heard that this is not good. I heard that this is not going to work for some people. It's always something negative, always something to drag you down, to pull your energy. So that's the person no. Life on this person, character is very discouraging. And we can be surrounded by that energy and contaminated. So the little bit of saying it's that, I'm not being negative, I'm being realistic. While, unfortunately, the realistic mode is always a negative mode. Why it's not going to work? You don't know. It didn't work for you, but it's going to work for me. We don't know until I try. So it's a very difficult person. You don't want to tell your dreams or your goals to this type of person. Stay away, at least in that matter, because that can be a little bit difficult to get out. The nothing. Do you know the nothing person?
Cold.
No, not really cold. Yes, sort of, but the nothing is the invisible. You don't know how the person is feeling. It doesn't give you any body clue or verbal clue. I like to compare the caveman, right? Caveman sits down in front of the TV with the remote control. How are you feeling? Nothing. Everything's okay. Something happened? Nothing. So you don't know what's going on with that person. You can't either help or engage or nothing. It's the same level of indifference. Let's put it like that. It's hard because you don't even know where to step. It's like stepping on eggs when you're around that person.
Cave man and cave woman too.
And cave woman too, yes. But the problem is, the problem for the record, women tends to put it out. And that's why we kind of simulate the caveman with men, because it's more like the man is a little bit more close, a little bit more, now being general, but it's a lot more. But yes, there are women too. And those in the women, they pretend that everything's okay. When in reality, it's not, right? We are great on that. The maybe, very difficult person too. When it's faced with important decision, it doesn't make the decision, it takes too long. And then what happens when we don't take the decision? When we don't make a decision, the decision is going to take its course. And then the outcome is always somebody's fault. But that person didn't take any action when it was the time to do it. So it's very difficult to deal with because some of them have the tendency to blame others. Don't make a decision, but also don't let others to move on. The maybe, right? I don't know where I'm going, and stays just like a lost ship in the ocean, not going much. Now, that's what our friend said, they know it all. Well, in this category here, it's a very little bit different because we have the one that thinks they know it all, which is more annoying, than the one that knows it all. There are two things, two differences, because the one that thinks they know it all, it doesn't know much, but it's going to try to convince that what he knows, what he's saying, is the right. No matter whatever you say, that person is always going to find a way to turn around, to be argumentative, like our friend says, because what I say is the final say, is the final truth. And the know-it-all, it's also difficult because it knows. That person knows. So whatever you say, whatever conversation you get into it, that person may even, listen to you, whatever, but deep inside it's like, whatever they're saying. I'm already up here, right? Very arrogant, narcissist, so it's very hard. And when I say that person, it's because we don't want it to, be very offensive, but let's think about ourselves because we might be a little bit of this in any category, some more, some less, right? The slacker is very difficult. The slacker too, because I personally, from all of those, I have a very difficult issue with slackers, especially at work. Something I have to work really well on me. I'm very bad at that because I don't think it's fair in a team. Everybody's being paid, everybody's dedicating the time, and we have that individual that for whatever reason thinks that he can just lay back and let the others do the job. So I have a little bit of problem with that. Do you too? Yeah. Sometimes I have to work on me, but it's a reality. It's a personality that's hard to deal with it. The complainer, right? Doesn't need the name itself, it says complaints about life, frustrations, mistakes. It's always about what's not working. It's raining outside, it's bad. It's sunny outside, it's bad. Nobody takes a person like that. It's very hard. And sometimes I find myself a lot on that. So the manipulator, the controller, that one that thinks that can control your life, physically, emotionally, materially, whatever, that person, even what you say, that person thinks that she or he can control. And the manipulator is not necessarily somebody that is going to be actually locking you at the house. That person can do a mental manipulation. Whatever you say, it's wrong. Don't say this, don't talk like that. Right? It's better you don't do this because I think this is not good for you. The manipulator not necessarily finds a way very evident, but it can be very silent in our lives. The controller. It doesn't have to be somebody at work or at home. It could be in everything that happens to us. This person specifically, it's more common in relationships, yeah. But at work, we can find some sort of people like that, too. People that kind of, I don't know the right term, but, it says, if you say something like that, I'm going to tell you out. It's stuff like that. That happens, too, a lot with this type of profile. And the last one, but not least, the dramatic. Everybody's laughing. Yeah, I laughed the last. My son thinks I'm dramatic. And I might be. No mama likes to see the kid hurt, right? And I might be dramatic. But the dramatic in this case is that person that something that's very small become very difficult. Everything is difficult to do it, to see, to think, and it's very annoying to relate to that as well. All right, moving on. Any questions so far? No, right? This is common sense, guys. Go to Google, it's right there. Types of difficult people, you can stay 50 lives reading that, because that's a lot of other ones. Why it is so challenging to deal with these people? Why? Now, let's turn to us. Why is difficult? Somebody has to answer, guys. Something. Huh?
Pulls us down.
It-
Brings us down. We're out those people.
Like anchors.
Takes our energy.
Yeah, it's kind
Loses our
of
focus.
yeah.
What we're trying to do.
take our focus. I like that. That's one of the things. Anybody else?
Well, sometimes, like, if you go for, like, they couldn't hold that person, but inside you hurt yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Some,
Eh.
some,
And it's hard to, when you think you're going to hurt, I see some of those profiles as well. You never know where you're going to. You know, you never know where you're stepping to. You don't know if it's going to be an explosion, if it's going to be a drama, if it's going to be an indifference, a negative. You don't know. So that's also hard. But the main point here is that why it's difficult? Because of our level of evolution. We are not capable yet to develop and to have the tolerance up to a level to deal with this type of situations. This is one reason. The other one is the lack of virtue. We still don't have the ability to use the patience, to use the tolerance 24/7. So sometimes enough is going to be enough. A spirit like Jesus Christ didn't have that problem. He dealt with those types in a lot more, and nothing affected him. So the problem wasn't in the people, right? The people itself, they are the instruments that will help us to develop this, how I'm going to deal with them. But the reason why we can't, take much is because we don't have much to offer yet as far as virtues, as far as the spiritual development. So,
Sabrina.
go ahead.
And also, I think it's also because as you're mentioning, we can see, I can tell myself, I can see a little bit myself in each one of that. So I think once we don't know how to deal with that with ourselves, we'll have the other one as just as a mirror to, and that's how you said, to give us the opportunity to work, but we don't know how to do that within ourselves. We don't know ourselves, okay, how can we deal? And that's
Exactly.
goes back to you.
And that's she goes to the end of the lecture because that's exactly what we're going to talk about. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Because in reality, what's happening is once I'm noticing that person is dramatic, is this, is that, all these things that I'm noticing, I'm carrying it. Because if I don't have a problem with alcohol, for instance, I can go to any bar and don't feel anything. But if I have a problem, it's a hard task. It's not different with the people. So if that the know-it-all bothers me too much, that's something I have to observe on me that's not quite right. Why that attitude influences me so much? Something for us to think about it. Thank you, Chris. We're going to get there. And that's lost hope, guys, because if Christiane saw herself in those, we're having a problem now, because I don't even know which one I am in there anymore. But let's move on. Very good. So why now, let's turn to the other side. Why these people behave like that? Why do you think they behave like that?
They want attention.
Some want attention, yep.
Control.
Want to control, yep.
Pride.
Pride. Girls are very quiet there. Why do you think the annoying folks at your school behave like that?
I see what triggers me. If I see myself in a bunch of those too. What triggers will be frustration.
Yeah,
Because it's dealing with the others
Yeah.
situation, and then you're kind of not finding the balance.
yeah, but in this case, yes, that's true. But in this case, why these folks behave like that? Mainly it's because these folks, because it's them, not us, right? These folks, because we have controlling mania, we are self-centered, a few other things. We feel superior. Sometimes we have negative life experiences, traumas. Behind all of those behaviors, there is pain. We have to remember that. Nobody is annoying, explosive, dramatic, and all this that we saw when there is no pain. Even the know-it-all. The know-it-all is a typical character that was put in so low, maybe during childhood, or maybe through bullying. Maybe it's a low self-esteem is so low that the only way that he or she can continue on is to put themselves above everybody else. Just an example, right? So there is always something behind that. A pain, a difficult time, and a person, we were made simple and ignorant, yet, but to develop towards love. If somehow we are deviating a little bit, there is something that happened in that path. Your boss, my boss, are not that type of individual because you just feel pleasure of mistreating people. There is something behind that behavior that triggers that. In any individual, including our family members or any, because you might say, no, that person was raised, had everything, and still treat people bad. Well, we don't live only one life. We bring a baggage. We bring everything with us. Subconsciously, we do. So some of our attitudes we might not notice, but yeah, there is something behind all this. And those are one of the things. But move on here. Why it's so challenging? It's because we are not developed in virtues yet. We are not patient yet, tolerant yet enough to deal with situations all the time. But that's the good news. We are all here today. That's a great indication that we are being able to handle a little bit. We are not in trouble. We are here sitting down. It's great. Sometimes we're going to screw it up really bad. Sometimes we are going to be able to apologize. Sometimes we're able to forgive. Sometimes we are not, and that's okay. God is not there. Clock is ticking. Let's forgive. Clock is ticking. Let's treat that person better. No. The goal is every day, a little bit, improving every situation. I scream, I was rude with that person. Recognize what I did and move on and try to do different in the next incident, in the next fight, because it's going to come, right? We are all still growing. But moving on. Questions for you all, and for me. That's something that came to my mind. When we talk about difficult people, are they difficult or they are different? Because there are two different things in there. One thing is that the person that's really difficult. But sometimes what we see as difficult is that person that's different. It's very difficult to deal with somebody that doesn't like what I like, that doesn't want to eat what I want, that doesn't want to watch TV what I want, that doesn't want to agree with me all the time. For some, this is a very difficult situation. But the person might just be different. Believe me, the person that we don't like, that we think that is hard to deal with it, somebody loves that individual, believe it or not. It might not be us, but somebody does. So there is good out there. Sometimes the person is just different. In our family, our children, we see, right? They are so different. And sometimes we get upset because they are not doing what we want them to do. I catch myself doing this every day. I get pissed at my child, and I'm thinking, yes, I'm pissed because he's not doing what I want him to do in the time that I want him to do. Pisses me off, but at the same time, I have to recognize that I'm pissed because I want him to take a shower and it has to be right now. What the energy goes, right? Good thing is not only me, you guys are laughing, so I don't know if you're laughing at mercy or I don't know, but yeah. So at my house, everybody has to be organized. At my house, everybody has to sit down and eat at the same time. If they don't, people are difficult. In this house, nobody listens. Well, then it becomes difficult, but they're just different. Not necessarily every day they want to do that. In marriage, relationships in general, significant others, the same thing. We are dating. We envision that person. When we marry, you're going to change. The person doesn't change. The person is going to be what the person is. But we wanted to mold that person. Projection, right? Project. What we project is broken because that person is what that person is. Oh, but that's difficult. I don't know what happened. My relationship now is so difficult. No, it was difficult before. We didn't see it. We were blinded by supposedly love, right? And now the person is showing what he or she really is. And it was always like that since the beginning. So sometimes it's only that. Friends, the same thing, friendship. If the friends don't like what I like, friends keep arguing with me or not agreeing with what I like, don't want to do what I do, that friend starts to be being pushed aside. Until I'm agreeing with you, I'm protecting you, I'm just saying good things about you and my friend. When I pointed out that day that you talked to me like this or that, I'm not your friend anymore. Let's just be careful with that, right? I'm looking at the clock, but that clock is wrong. It's 10:45, so I hope I'm not here that long. I'm looking at mine here. Sorry, guys.
Let you know when you're done.
I have problem with attention, so I have attention problems. So if I'm looking at it, oh my goodness gracious. Work, the same thing, right? So the root cause of all this, if we think about it, right, it's selfishness and pride, which is the two plagues of humanity. Once these are eliminated from us, we are going to be able to deal with everybody in a peaceful mode. We're not there yet. We are very far. So do you think those people are enemies trying to make my life and yours harder? Yes or no? No, right? Not necessarily. Sometimes, yes, there is, we can't deal with, we don't like it, right? Sometimes it's just a difficult person. Could be somebody that we love, and it's still hard to deal with it. Mothers and fathers, I mean, my mom, it's Brazilian, and I can say she doesn't speak English, and she's not going to listen to me anyway. Never did, so right now she won't. She's a very difficult person, but she's my mom. I respect her, I'm grateful for her, but I cannot deny that she is hard to deal with it. And I'm probably super hard too. But that doesn't mean I don't like her. I hate her. No, she's different. It's hard to deal with for me. But a lot of people love her. I'm giving my own example because I don't want to point people out. But if you think about it, not necessarily as somebody that we don't like. It's just the way that the person acts in life, right? What are my expectations? Because sometimes we say that the person did this or that mainly because I was expecting something else. I was expecting that she or he tells me this, and they told me that, and then I get upset. They are rude, they are explosive, they are this, but sometimes I'm expecting too much from that person. I'm expecting more than that person can offer. How many of us do that? Mainly in relationships as well. People just do what they can do. We can only give what we have. If expectation, if we expect too much, we have to expect ourselves to do the best in our capability to do it, but the other person is the other person, right? And let's think about how we interact before we judge and say that somebody is difficult in our lives. How I'm interacting with that person. I'm not here to answer, guys. That's something for us to just think, right, with ourselves. So how, when I categorize somebody in my life that is a complicated person, a complex personality, how do I interact with that person? Let's just think about, sometimes there's not even interaction. We just turn our face or pretend that we're not there. Maybe this is the reason. Maybe that person wants to be listened, wants some attention, like our friend says. A listen time, guys, can calm a lion, because sometimes that person just wanted to be, offer some empathy. You're going to see that a little bit. So let's talk a little about compassion at home. In the book Workers of Eternal Life by Emmanuel, he has a beautiful message that he talks about compassion at home. What does that mean? He brings an example where people get say that they use the house, right, our home, as a place for us to vent, to blow off. So I come out stressed from work, I'm going home, I'm gonna just put it out, right? True. Your family members should be the most, close person to you that will listen to you and care for you and handle more than the others out there, for sure. But that doesn't mean that we are going to turn our home in a wild place and act like animals. Those are the words that he used. So at work, I'm nice and neat, hanging there, right? Our boss holding up because I don't want to lose my job, right? So at home, I turn to a dictator. I mistreat, I abuse, I break things, or I'm rude to my family members, irritated, irritable, and screaming and doing. So the house, yes, should be our point of comfort, of consolation, of support. But we shouldn't turn our family members in our place, our temple, because the house is a temple, in a battlefield, because we're stressed. And he's going to tell us more that some people out of the house, what do? They want to spread messages of peace, of compassion, of charity, but they are not capable to say thank you and to be nice to the ones that live with them. But outside of the house, that's the behavior. Another thing, too, they write things for people, treat everybody nice, right? But it's not capable of to show a little bit of a kindness inside the home for those who live close. Not even a thank you, or I don't will say you wash the dishes because I don't do that. I can say I don't do that all the time. It's bad. It's a very bad example. Something, guys, that we can do should be kind. I'm sure each one of you can do something, right? The other thing that he mentions is people that sometimes they kind of make movements, GoFundMe, and want to do things to help all the other countries, whatever, but they are not capable of say thank you or look at the person that is serving them at the restaurant, right? Are not capable of getting the elderly person, the family, a grandparent, a father or a mother that has dementia. We find the worst place in the room for the elderly to be, or we put in a nursing home. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's two types of the situation. Sometimes we have to put in a nursing home, but there are people in nursing home, they're abandoned, and there are people that are taking care. Family members are there all the time. I'm not judging who put the person in the nursing home. What we talk about, he's bringing up, is abandoned. So to the world, we are the nice and neat, the charitable, but inside our homes, we are not doing much. That's what he's bringing about. And he's not censoring us, because he also says it's better to do a little bit of good, because we're doing, right? Even if we're doing out of the house, then do nothing. So we are doing stuff that's good. That's great. But we have to also take good care of those who live with us. They are the primary point. Because if we can love that, if we cannot deal with that group of people, it's going to be very hard to deal with those patterns, those behavior patterns out of our house. It's going to be all a mask, fake. So that's where it starts, right? So what is the role of Spiritism in this family conflict when we deal with these difficult personalities? Well, it provides medication. How? Well, when I understand that the individual education is needed, when I say individual education, it's not the school, the Harvard that you're going to send our son. No, it's the moral education. That's one aspect that the Spiritism provides, which is what we are doing now. We are trying to see in ourselves what we can do to improve this relationship. It's not somebody out there that's going to say, do this, like 5 steps to deal with difficult people. That the internet, it's out there. But there's something inside us that has to be moved, as our friend said. There's something inside us that has to be worked out for us to learn how to deal with them. Another thing is that the evidence of reincarnation. it requires mutual tolerance amongst us. We all lived other lives. We all carried our luggage. Some of them have to pay, what is it called in the airport? Excessive. Yes. Some of them has the whole plane for itself, right? For themselves, but there are points, neuralgic points that he calls, that in groups that we have to learn how to work. And that's where the Spiritism will help, providing this spiritual therapy, these tools for us to learn, at least to see the other side, to use a little bit of indulgence when you deal with that person. Like we saw, there is a pain behind. So when that boss is treating me like that, I have two options, to scream back or maybe think, maybe he's not having a good day. Let me wait him to calm down. Maybe I'll have another chance to talk. I always have an option. It's still going to make me mad. I'm going to be frustrated, stressed. Yes, true. We are all humans. We're still there, still going through this. But that's something we can also try to do all the time. I love this statement by Joe Austin that he says, how you deal with difficult people is a test of your character. Every single day. Want to know if we're doing good in our evolution? It's going to be another lecture I'm going to give, how our evolution is going. Let's see how we are dealing with other people. How much this person affects us. Then we can see where we are. What is our thermometer to deal with some situations? That's one thing. And let's review now some strategies, like real strategies, step by step. What we can do in a daily basis, practical, to start to get better on this. Study our reaction and stay positive. How we do that? Well, one thing is that we can control others. That's fact. But that person did. We cannot control others. We don't know what they're going to say. We don't know how they're going to act. We don't know what they're going to do at all. The only thing we can control is how we respond. Period. We have to recognize what is our role in this behavior. Am I making it worse? Meaning, if the person screams at me, am I screaming back? Am I ignoring? Or I'm just being the know-it-all, just shut up because I know everything? So sometimes we might be the triggers to in that behavior. We don't notice. That's the sad news, but it's true. In this case, too, we study our reaction because sometimes we don't know how to solve a conflict. We hold too much. We hold until the day, what happens? The grenade comes out. And by any means, I'm saying, oh, don't hold, just spread the whole thing out. No, we have to process. The issue happens. We have to find a way to process that. With that person, with ourselves, if the person, great, if that's possible with the person, within ourselves. That's very important. Another thing we have to think and stay positive as well and study our reactions, that what is better, because this might be a point where we always struggle. It's better to be right, to have the reason, or to make the thing work, make the relationship work, calm the situation. Sometimes what we want is to show that we are right. We don't have the intention to really settle that battle. We want to prove that we are right. And this is something that we might be right. That's not the point. But at the same time, the way that we handle the situation is going to say a lot about us. That's another view of the things. So sometimes we have to put our pride a little bit less. But I was right. Yes, I know you're right, and I was too. But so what? If to calm that situation down, you have to not say you're right, So what? Let's swallow that and move on and bring some peace to that environment. There are times that we fall into that, right? Listen, be proactive, not reactive. And I'm not saying that we have to let the person suck our soul here, like our friend said. No, it's not this. Or throw us in the window, or throw us out of the window and do whatever. No, that's not this. The listen is not the passive. You can listen without react, without overreact. That goes to exercise empathy. Why do I put exercise? Because we are not empathetic yet. We are not tolerant yet. But we can exercise. That's exercise. When we exercise, we put ourselves in their shoes. So a person is acting like that, right? I don't know what he or she is going through. I don't know. Exercise, understanding, tolerance. I'm still like a fire inside, but I'm trying. That's the point. That doesn't mean that my attitude of exercising this compassion is going to be to agree with that behavior. We confuse that. That's not the point. The situation is, it doesn't justify the attitude. That person did wrong to us. That person is rude, scream, or do this, do that. That's fact. But when we exercise tolerance and compassion, we are not agreeing with that. Not necessarily. Because sometimes say, no, if I quiet down, it's going to sound like I'm okay with that. No, it's not that. Sometimes the silence is necessary, but an active silence.
With pride.
Yeah, sometimes the silence with pride, that's the difficult one. Or I'm not going to say because I don't have anything to say, because we already know that we are more than that person, right? And there is a silence to reflect, to see how I'm going to deal with that situation when it happens again, because it's going to happen, right? Control what we can control. That's what we say before, right? We have no control of the others, what their words, how they're going to act today. The only thing we can control is what we are going to do. Sometimes we can even control what we think, because I can think, I don't like that person. I already think, and it's so what? I don't like it. And that's okay. There is no statement saying you must like and love everyone. No. Some people we don't like. And sorry to the news, but some people don't like us. Some are many people don't like me and you. But we can't do anything about that. The only thing we can do is control how we are going to react, what we're going to do with that person's attitude. Not the attitude itself, how that attitude is going to influence me, up to which degree. That's the only thing we can do, because that person is going to continue doing it. What we can control is how we react, the level of influence, the influence that that person has. That's the only thing we can do. Choose the battle. Let's choose our battle, guys. Sometimes we spend our energy in such a things that it's going to take us nowhere. Choose the battle, right? Who comes first, the chicken or the egg? Dude, it doesn't matter. Let's eat the egg, let's eat the chicken, and call it a day. I don't care. Let's make it work, right? When we are choosing the battle, that's a good tip. We have to think, is this going to make it better? Is it going to help anybody? Is it going to help me or somebody else? We have to put it in a scale and see if it's worth it to move on with that. That's one thing. Take a deep breath. You read here, go into nature, take a deep breath. A minute of silence can make wonders, right? Sometimes the person is going to continue with that behavior. There's nothing we can do. I have a sign here, 5 minutes. Oh my good Lord. So, all right, well, let's move on. Look for affinities and know how to give in. So look for that person that you don't really like, that you don't deal with well, what that person likes. And try to, a conversation, like movies. Oh, you see that person out of the blue is going to start to get better relationship. Oh, because sometimes it's just to feel the embrace, feel that she or he is part of a group. That can change a lot, the relationship. Pacify without being passive. That's two different things, right? We are going to try to control our attitude. But we are not going to say, oh, no, that's great what you did. No, it's not that. Try to pacify without being passive. Be assertive and direct, firm, without being aggressive. We can do that. We can all do that, right? Or not? It's hard, but we can show respect. The way that we treat others is already a demonstration in how we want it to be treated. So if that person screams at you, you can be assertive and say, listen, I see that you're a little bit nervous right now, and I don't feel like it's a good time for us to talk. I don't think I should be listening to you to scream. When you calm down, you come and talk to me. You were assertive, you redirect, you are not rude, and you are not aggressive. But you put yourself up without letting being thrown out the window. That's how it can be assertive. I'm just giving an example, right? Because I did that a couple of times. It worked. So some people doesn't, but some continue on, right? When we yell, we already lost all the respect. Because then we're gonna have to wait the yell back, right? Or not. So strive to change our behavior, not the other, as we already saw it. And know when to stop or ignore. We have to know when it's time, when enough is enough. Sometimes that person is going to continue on. Sometimes there is no way to repair that situation, that relationship. And we have to know when it's time to stop, when it's time to move on. And sometimes it comes to violence, to aggression, that we don't really know how to deal with. We need to look for psychological help. When we cannot handle anymore, we need to look for help. But it's important to know our limits, how much I can handle of this. So if that person is coming, Christmas time is great. I don't have family here, but for many, it's a stress because the family is coming, right? I have a good tip. I used to do another work. I used to say that. A good tip is when you are ready with the potato right here to say it in that dinner table, imagine the birthday guy arriving at your dinner table, which is Jesus. How he would react. Imagine he's a guest on that table. I guarantee to you, our attitude will be a little bit more settled. Right? It's a good trick. He's not going to be there unless we pray. He's everywhere. But why not? That's something that can help us. And try to visualize that person involved in light. That's another way. Say a prayer before those people get into your house. That helps a lot, guys. They can make miracles. So who is the most difficult people in my life? The difficult person, guys? Who is? Huh? Learn how to love the difficult people. You were one of them. That's what our friend said, right? She kind of spoiled my end, but yeah. When Jesus said about the plank in the eye, right? I'm pointing out without seeing what it's in me. So it's necessary to see what's in me first. Because if I am having a hard time with these people, that's a good indication that something inside me has to always be fixed. Otherwise, what would happen? I would act just like he did. Joanna de Angelis says, tolerance imposes itself on everyone as a personal and fraternal therapy, understanding the difficulties of the fallen while extending generous hands to lift them up. So instead of to be beating that person up more and more, it's a helping hand. It's hard, guys. It's hard. It requires a lot. But your boss is mad at everybody. Maybe you can come for a coffee. Hey, I made this at home, I brought to you. That might change the whole day. He might be mad with somebody else, and then you take that opportunity to do something for him. You know, that's just an example, but there is a way. So because difficult people, according to her, train our hearts They train us to be better. They train us to have opportunities to spiritual growth. That's the point. That's why they are in our lives. So they teach us legitimate brotherhood, understanding, how to be more compassionate. If it weren't for them around us, we wouldn't learn those things. That's the beauty of it, right? When Jesus came to us, he never judged. He never judged. Yet, he also did not solve anybody's problem. He never did. He never judged, but he also never solved anybody's problem. But he used compassion to help them instead of pointing out. He never said, oh, that's good, you're acting like that. I'm Jesus, I'm here, I'm going to change you. No. He never pointed out. He was firm when he needed to be firm, but he also loved and used of compassion to help those people going in the right path. Because he could just heal them and say, I'm Jesus Christ, I'm healing you, go away, you're good, you're free, good to go. What he said? Yeah, I'm helping you right now, I think you're ready, but you go and watch out what you're doing from now on. He didn't solve anything for us, but he never judged us. And we are not going to solve the other person. That's not the goal. We are not going to change people, guys. This is going to be a waste of our lives, of our energy, right? So when we accuse the others, like she said, when we accuse the others of their wrongs, we are also trying to masquerade, to hide things that are not quite yet inside us. So we have to reflect on this, right? The same way that these people deserve compassion, we also do. Indulgence, because today they are doing this to us, tomorrow is going to be us. And that's why in the Spirit's book, for us to close, Allan Kardec asks us, what is the true meaning of charity that Christ understood? What's charity for Christ? And the answer is benevolence toward everyone, indulgence toward the imperfection of others, forgiveness for offenses. So at the end of the day, once we are dealing with all these characters that we discussed today and much more, that's the main goal, for us to grow in charity, which is from all the virtues is the one that is the most absolutely the best and the bigger, and it's the mother of all of them, just because it involves all this. I cannot be good, I cannot love, I cannot be compassionate if I don't have those three items. But this is an exercise, my friends. This is not something that is going to happen tomorrow. It's an exercise that he came to tell us. Benevolence toward everyone is starting with us. Indulgence, because tomorrow we are going to mess up ourselves as well. And we wanted somebody to give it a hand. And the same thing with forgiveness. Forgiveness is not to erase. People have a different misunderstanding on that. Forgive is to forget what happened. No, you got a slap on your face, you're not going to forget. You were abused as a child, you're not going to forget. This is a fact. But you can, with the pass of the time and with the renewal inside, we can start to work that inside you, to forgive the offense. The fact is there. The fact is not the offense. The offense is the product of that situation. And that's what we have to work with. So, my friends, thank you very much. I appreciate your attention, and may God bless us all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. It makes us think about it. And one of the things that we talk about, I think the point of forgiveness